Hey folks, and welcome to the Pipnotic Symposium for the 9th of June 2020. Today I'm going to continue running through the pairs. We cut off yesterday because the video got a little bit long, and so today we're just going to continue. We're going to start here on the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. So looking at this pair, you have to ask yourself the question, where are we? Are we high or are we low? You'll also notice that the Canadian dollar got beaten pretty badly due to prices in oil. Okay, and so we've reached these incredibly low levels. So if we just have a look at where we are relative to historical price, we're quite low. We've actually just had a bit of a bounce off this area here, which is a child, this being the parent here. So if we mark this off here, from the low of the child to here, and this is an interesting area because when price left this area here, it went up, the slingshot was pulled back, and we left moving above this high. We had some supply here, the beginning of the sell zone was there, we came close to testing it, and then this area here removed it. So I'm just going to do the analysis. So we had this one here, it was the beginning of the sell zone, this one removed it, so we moved this to here. This is the place where this all took place. So we have to find the buy zone. The buy zone is the deepest retracement of the bar that left the area. This is the bar that left the area. The deepest retracement is here. Okay, so this has been tested. Here at the beginning of the buy zone, we had another go. This one went up. We sat on it. We nested on it, and now price left. So now the area has been removed. This is the new area just here. It's been tested, so this one's still in play. Okay, so this is a good area for the reasons that we just discussed. This one removed this one removed this one. Okay, so these are all linked together. There's just not a matter of running through all of these charts and just looking for candles that left an area. That's simply not good enough. You have to find areas that are responsible for doing damage to the structure of market and the liquidity distributed in a marketplace. Okay, and currently we're pretty low. Okay, we have this little area here. We had micro supply just here, which was tested. Price went through it, telling us that we have a nice area just here. Slingshot pulled back to that area, we left, we went back to the area, we left, we went back to the area, we left, we went back to the area, almost through it, and we actually went to the edge of the buy zone. The edge of the buy zone for this area of child demand is here. Okay, the slingshot was pulled back. This is where price came to, and this is where it left from. So that means that we have onboarded a lot of buying pressure, and so we have a shorter term long bias for this pair. So you want to kind of take note of that and take this information with you down to the smaller time frames. So we'll go to the weekly and have a look. You can see we had a staggering departure from this monthly child demand that we saw on the smaller time frames. Okay, so we had huge departures. We had some micro stuff going on in here. You can't really see what it is on this time frame, but there was certainly something in here that was strong enough to hold price once, twice, three times, but on the fourth test price went through it. So we can't see what it is here on the weekly chart, but we very likely will be able to do so on this time frame. And it was simply price returning to the gap, the closing of the gap. Okay, so that also brings our attention to this piece just here. Our price went up to here. We zoom out a little bit. Yeah, so we have this just here. Okay, this left. Price tried to come back once, twice, three times. We sat on the area. This is the one that did it. It's going to remove this one. This one's gone now, and this is the one that's done it. And now this one is gone, isn't it? So you ask yourself the question, what area was actually strong enough to remove this area that was strong enough to remove this area here? And it's this one just here. Okay, so if we have a look here, you can see we have the area just here. Okay, so I'm going to give this a bit of space, maybe 2.5 the times the area. I'm going to allow that one to move, and I really like that. That's a decent area. And also you can see this is on the back side of this resistance becomes rally, accumulation, support. Okay, we've moved through this, so there are no obstacles on the road until we get this one here. We have not reached that area yet, but we are currently reacting at support becomes resistance. So I think a little push back down to this area would be quite lovely. Okay, let's have a look at the Euro Kiwi. I'm just going to remove these little objects, get rid of all these visual objects that I've drawn like so. Cool, so what's going on? Monthly chart first. What are we doing? Well, we've actually, you note here we had some kind of test. We've taken an average of those. It's probably around here, maybe a little bit lower, maybe around here. You see, testing, but we've moved through it. Okay, so price went, it held below it, but we came back. Okay, this tells us that we did not have enough. We didn't have enough strength. This area here, we did get a bounce, but price had to come back. So this tells us that we have an area just here, and the edge of the sell zone is here. Okay, price came to it once, twice, and this one tore through it. Okay, so we went all the way through it, and if you look at this price structure from this area of supply down to the low, this is actually price also returning to something up here. So this is probably 6-month supply up in here. This is really ugly. My broker has terrible data. So we have something up around here. Price got close to it. We actually got to the edge of the sell zone for that area, which is just around here, pretty close, and then we saw price depart. So this one's gone. So then you ask yourself the question, what's price going to do now? Well, because we went so high, we obviously onboarded a lot of selling. Okay, and so this is probably going to drive price lower for the shorter to medium term. Okay, so if we go, this is also very clear. We've seen a lot of strength on the Australian and the Kiwi dollar. This is due to kind of the economy slowly beginning to return to normal. And this, of course, is pushing counter currencies lower or higher, depending on the base of the cross currency. But you can see here that we're racing lower as a result of that, and we're creating some pretty interesting areas above price. We do have market structure which is moving higher, but we're challenging that at the moment. So if we look at this, we want to find these areas where price was able to compromise these areas. So we had this area just here. We had the sell zone, which was here. It was tested once, twice, 3 times, and then price went through it, and we actually removed this. So this one's gone. You have to ask yourself the question, what area is responsible for doing that? And it's actually, I remove all these lines, it's actually this one here. This one here did it. Then you ask yourself more questions. Trading's about questions. Okay, so you look at this and you say, wow, well, has price already been back to this area before? You say, yes, it has. Where has it been back to this area? Well, it's actually been back to this price level here and here and here. So these are actually all tests of this area of demand just here. And if I remove the drawing, you can see that this is actually the area that these prices are returning to. Okay, and you can actually see, I mean, this is a candle on the left, so the beginning of the buy zone is actually the low of that candle, and it came to it. So this is where price came to. And so you say, wow, we need to look lower because, I mean, this has been tested. The chart was tested 2 times. Here we had the parent tested once, twice, going deeper each time. This chart was tested, and so price may very well have a run lower. And so this brings our attention to this, which is fresh. Nothing's been back here since then. So the end of the edge of the buy zone for this is going to be around just here, which is the low of this candle here, which is the one on the left, and the origin. This whole structure of price is standing on this just here. Okay, so this looks pretty interesting to us. So if we take this information with us to the smaller time frames, we'll leave those rectangles on, and we can see this is where it is. This is where it all originated from. This is also a really nice area, which we couldn't see on the monthly. How we had an area here, price tested it, we went through it, we came back, we weren't strong enough, price rallied, accumulated, price left, slingshot was pulled back, and then we went up. And so we have an edge of a buy zone, which is around here, which is just at the edge of this area just here. So this could also be an interesting place to look to maybe get involved with a shorter term long position. I think we'll probably have a bounce to that area there. This is also just a very nice kind of visual kind of a close axis. You see how closes kind of pivot around this point. And if any of you guys have used the Price Action Pro, which was the initial price action tool that I developed back in maybe around 2010, 2011, maybe 2011, there was a functionality called a price axis. And this price axis focused on price levels at closes where price was doing exactly this. And this is a very clear price axis. Okay, so we had this, you see how the closes obey this level, we go down it, we close at it, all along here, here, and this one closed above, and then we kind of gapped it, but we don't have any closes close to this axis until we get just here. So I'm thinking price comes to the low of the candles that closed here, we'll probably start to see some people begin to gain confidence and play off these areas here. So going back to Japanese candlestick chart, where's that button? There we are. I think we could probably see something going on just here. Okay, so there's that going on, but what I'd like to do is maybe put an alarm there. This is really far away from price. I'm just going to do this. Maybe I'll put that on later, like a pending order with a really big stop. But going back to the monthly chart, this just looks like a pretty interesting area, and this is the edge of that the buy zone for this area of demand just here. And so we could actually say, well, this one looks pretty close. Let's see how big this one is. That's huge, 680 pips. That's enormous. Okay, so from here to here, that's huge. How big is this one? Yes, let's just like plot that on, and we can adjust it down here on the weekly. Where we just move this higher. Just going to wriggle this one up to there. That's pretty close to where we want to be. We go to the weekly. I think we're probably just below that. Yeah, kind of this area here. So I think, yeah, we'll see. That looks like maybe something around here might be a little bit more interesting. Alternatively, we could certainly play off this area here for the reasons we discussed a second ago, being the price axis. I like this area actually quite a lot, simply because the way price kind of danced around that area. So I'll put it on there. We'll leave it. I'll come back to that at some later stage. But for the time being, this is an area that could definitely see some reactions. The reason I don't like this is because price has already been here. You see all of this trading in here. So you want to look below this low here, which brings our attention to the child. We don't want to trade children, neither in trading. Unethical, the whole trading of children, not a good idea. Also in trading. But this area here is just looking a little bit better, so I might kind of pop that on and leave that there, and we'll see what happens when price gets it. It's going to remove all of these visual objects. Boom, boom, like that. Cool, then we're going to move on to the British pound. Australian dollar. So let's have a look on the monthly chart. What's happening? Well, the pound has been taking a beating by the Australian dollar, as is very clear here. We've seen the Australian dollar and the Kiwi dollar. They reached incredible levels of negative variance relative to the currency strength histogram. So incredibly low values, and negative variance are so low that price can almost only turn around from this point unless a country goes bankrupt, which doesn't really happen a whole lot. And so these were very, very low, and this was happening towards the highs of this here. And we were actually, reaching these levels at price points where price could look to react. So we want to look for these big pullbacks. So price left, we had a slingshot, was pullback, and then we left. Then we have a bunch of wicks in here saying that we have a bunch of like parents and children. We box them all in off there. Price came nicely up into that area, then had a retracement. And the reason this area is interesting is because look what happened the last time price came to this area. Price came up to it, we closed here, and then we just dumped low. We took out this area of demand. This is demand because we removed this supply here. We tested it. We know this is the area of, this is the buy zone. This one took it out. This one tested it. And so this is just a really nice departure, and price rallied all the way back up there. And this is where we're leaving from. So we have a lot of selling pressure here. Okay, and if you look at this, I mean, there's no demand in here on this time frame. We don't really have demand until low. We didn't manage to remove this child nor this parent, and we only managed to remove kind of these child areas of supply and demand just in here and supply, because you see prices going high. And so we want to be looking to sell here and follow this a little bit lower. This is kind of shorter to medium term. So if you ask yourself, well, where did price kind of move from, you can see that we had all of these highs. You see how we have prices kind of gradually moving higher. We were poked into this area of weekly supply, which you can see just here. The software marked it off when price was here. So we had years to plan this trade. Price came to it, and it left. Okay, and so price is probably going to continue to wriggle lower until we reach a proper buy zone. And we don't have a buy zone until we have this one here. Software shows us where it is, and we have a buy zone here. Okay, so what I'd like to do is sell somewhere in here and follow it down to the opposing side of the market, which on this time frame is lower, a lot lower. We do have this here, so we're going to have some intraday kind of pushes higher and lower, but I think this is a pretty interesting level for us just here. And I like this one here because when price managed to kind of move above these highs, we had these highs, these price testing these price levels here, and price kept coming back, but price was able to leave and move away and through this price level here and this child from this area here. And then you ask yourself the question, what area of supply has consumed this child? And it was this one here, this nice distribution candle here marked off by the indicator. So I think this is a pretty interesting area just here. So I'm going to put that in. I just want to see where this one is. Yeah, we'll put that one in there, then I'm going to drag it lower. Here, I like this one a lot. This is also where that tiny gap will be closed. We have a bit of air just there, and so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. If we have a look on the daily and see what that looks like. It's not super attractive on the daily, is it? Let's have a look at the 4 hour and find that spot where it all left from. Yeah, it didn't leave from there, did it? This is messy. So you want to move this higher. You can see this is a nice 4 hour area, but you can see that price has already kind of been back to here and been back and messing around, and we don't really have much till here. I like this one. I like this one because we had that little struggle, a momentary struggle where price rallied, we accumulated, we poked into this, we sat on there, and then we left. Slingshot was pulled back, and then we haven't looked back since. So let's see where we are relative to we're pretty high. We're above this little one here. So I'm going to leave that one on there. I don't know if we're going to get up. We're probably going to return to some kind of maybe an hourly or a 4 hour area, because price is in a real hurry to move lower. But there's nothing to do. Okay, there's nothing to do here for me. Okay, so I'm just going to remove all of these objects, and then we'll continue. Okay, looking at the pound CAD. So what do we have? Well, here we have price moving around a lot. Where do we have buy and sell zones? Well, we have a sell zone here, and we have a buy zone here. That's the demand. The buy zone is there. Okay, so that's what we have, that area there. So I'm thinking that price will probably poke into this area here, and if we remove this, you can see that we do have 2 distribution candles, and I'm just taking the low of the candle that left the area. So the slingshot in this area, there's going to be a micro slingshot, how price moved sideways, went down, we rallied, we had a push, we came back down, slingshot was pulled back, and then we left. We tried to come back, we failed, and so I'm thinking that this is a pretty price sensitive area, and so we'll wait and see what happens there. This is also a longer term trade. I like these. You put them in and you leave them, and then they get filled half a year or a year later. But the cool thing is that you can have maybe 10 or 20 of these orders sitting in the chart, sitting in them with your broker, and these are filled maybe one a week or 2 a week at that kind of a rate. And so you're getting plenty of trades because you're trading a lot of different instruments. But if something crazy happens and everything gets stopped out at once, which is very, very unlikely, you're still going to limit your risk to whatever you're risking per trade times that number of trades. And so I don't like to have more than about maybe 15 pending orders, but some of them hundreds, if not 1,000 pips away from price. And so, I mean, in all of my time of trading and algo trading and testing, I mean, I've never once seen anything happen like this. Even during the recession in 2007 to 2009, I mean, you don't hit everything at the same time. There's plenty of warning, and so you can do so. You can trade this way. You can leave them in, and you can walk away. Then you can check them from your telephone, and maybe check these bigger trades on a fairly regular basis, maybe once a day or a couple times a week. Okay, so let's have a look at the pound Kiwi now. The pound Kiwi. Okay, so here we have price reacting at the parent here. This is the parent, this is the child. The beginning of the sell zone is there. Didn't quite reach. What's going on? Okay, we didn't quite reach the sell zone. We got very close, but we certainly poked into the parent. Okay, so price is leaving from this area, and it's leaving quickly. And so you ask yourself, would it be a good idea to buy there? I'm just going to remove this. This could be like the algo trader doing something. So let's have a look at that. So price is really racing south. Where do we have buy zones? Where do we have sell zones? Well, we have these. I mean, something was in here. You can see how price has kind of tested this price point, but price didn't really manage to hold above it, did it? So it is my thinking that price will maybe continue to wriggle lower until we find a nice buy zone. So I'm coughing a lot these days. In Bali, harvest is just finishing up. What they do is they harvest the rice, and they throw all the rice in big piles in the middle of the rice fields, and then they burn it, and they use this charcoal as kind of fertilizer for in the rice fields. So there's a lot of smoke in the air, so I feel like I've been smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, hence my kind of choking and coughing here over the microphone. So we have this price is really moving lower. We've moved past this micro buy zone. We're moving deep into it. We're showing a lot of strength, and so looking at this, I don't want to be buying anything for the time being. So we need to find places that we would be comfortable selling at. Okay. Oh, okay. We have this one here, which is looking very nice. And the reason I like this is because we had very clear strength exhibited here. Testing, price went up. We failed. We came back to this area here, which is a child. We rallied, accumulated, rallied, and we just popped through it to the opposing side, and then we went down. So this is what was happening. It was looking at this area just here below price. So that could be an interesting one, but I wouldn't want to hold this one forever, simply because we've formed supply above price. This one here, this is kind of pre-qualified. This is qualified because when price left here, we moved beyond this sell zone and actually beyond this child into the parent, which is just actually an older sibling. This is the parent here. And so what would be really nice is a poke into this area here, and then a departure up to this area, and then a continuation lower to here, which has already been tested here. Okay, but we had a nice departure. So the beginning of the buy zone for this area would be here. So this would be a target. Should we decide to get in here. But this one here, let's see what we're saying here. Yeah, it's kind of liking it over here. So I'm just going to do this. Okay, so we have that there. I like that price poked down into that area there. So I'm just going to flick that on. I'll just pop that in there like that. Okay, so that's what it's got there. Probably not going to get much far beyond this one here. You know what? I mean, the risk reward in this trade is simply not good enough, because it's going to have to struggle with that. So I'm just going to pass on that one. Okay, so we want to look to sell instead. So if you go to the daily chart, we're probably going to see something right here. We want to find a nice pattern that's looking attractive. Let's remove everything. What do we have here? We want to find something that looks good, and there's nothing that's super good. I mean, this is okay, but I want my stop above here because this is a continuation pattern. These kind of pullbacks and then departures are much better and stronger. But for this area here, we do have a sell zone, which is here, the higher the wicks. And so that would be an interesting area. So maybe 2 times that area. Let me plop that on there. Not 3, but 2. Again, this is just an order entry utility. Actually 3, that's not big enough. That would be an interesting area just there. Okay, because we had this area here, price moved above this high here, we came down, we sat on it, we tested it, and then this one here cut through it. Okay, so we want to be above this stuff. Okay, but this is okay. This is manageable just here. So what we could actually do is we could actually even move our stop a little bit higher, reduce the position size, and be done with it. But actually looking at this, what I do like is I like this one here, because price, we had this distribution just here. Had to go. Price went from here up here, we pulled back the slingshot, and then we went north. So what we could do is we could go like this, put that in here. I'm going to put this to 2. I'm going to delete this. And it's going to plop it in there. So what I'm going to do, because this is closer to this, I'm going to delete this. I'm going to allow it to take that one, and I'm going to move it to that area that we could see here on the daily chart. So I'm going to move the entry down to here. I prefer this one much more. And again, if we put the closes and have a gander, I mean, this is just a nice area. See how price has kind of respected this area here? This looks like a very valid price axis. Okay, a very nice one here. I mean, it's just been respected historically, very much so. And price just moved below it. We kind of like, we're kind of like just building up pressure, and then we popped through this area here. Bit of distribution. The lower the distribution is here, and then we left. So I'll leave that on. I think that's a nice one. And then we'll be done with it. Again, you don't have to win all these trades. All you have to do is put enough of them on when they're validated, and you have to have your risk reward in order. Then you just have to just let them play out and not fiddle too much. So I just like to put these on and leave them. Okay, let's have a look now. The Kiwi CAD on the monthly chart. Remove all these objects. Good, so Kiwi CAD. And then we have this one here, I can see. So this looks to be something on the weekly chart. So price is, we've left these lows, we've poked into this area of demand just here. Came close, poked into it, and now we're moving north. And now we're currently testing this area of supply, and this is a second time back. So the sell zone is above the highest high since this area was formed. So if we go to the weekly, maybe we can see a bit of clarity. I'm just going to remove this now so we can have a look. You can see here that we are moving deeper into this area here. Notice within this area we have something which I like. I can already see it around this price area here. This looks pretty interesting because we had kind of price kind of sit on the area. We tried to move through it. We sat on it for a while. We managed to trade through it. The slingshot was pulled back, and then we departed from that area there. So this is a pretty interesting area. Let's see if we can. Yeah, that looks pretty interesting there. If we have a look on the daily chart, what that looks like. I'm just gonna have a look. Yeah, this is nice because we had. I mean, this is where we had this really nice area here. It was tested a few times, many times, and it's gone. And the area that caused that is here, right there. The higher the wick, the beginning of the cell zone. So you could put something like that, like a nice big stop, 2x, it's about 2x the size. And this is what we have at about that area. I think that's interesting simply because this is where price kind of returned to. But you might say, well, what else do we have? Well, let's have a look. I mean, looking on this one here, once price returns to this area here and it's rebalanced, we're probably going to move back to an opposing area of demand to attract buyers, and that will bring our attention to above price here. Here's where we have a sell zone, price going deeper yet. So this here is also a very interesting area to sell. This is very far away from price. This could be some years away from price. But for the time being, we have this one here. If we have a look at this here, kind of wriggle this around a little bit until we find something that looks attractive to us. Looking at the price axis here, I mean, this looks pretty interesting. At the bleeding edge price, our price came down, we sat on it, and then we left, and now we're kind of moving. You can see also that this area is above all of this mess here. So we're seeing white candles below this, and you can see we have them here. So this is a very cool place, I think, to sell. So I might take a stab at that. But what we also need to do, we need to go to the 4-hour chart and have a look inside. We need to dissect the area, look in the wicks, and if you look at this, does this look very interesting on this time frame? It doesn't, does it? It really doesn't at all. And so you can see when we were looking at this area here, this one, the price has already been active here, here. This is the only one where price has not been active, and so I feel more comfortable doing this. If we have a look, we had something. Let me see. So we had something here. This is very rough, just to show you. Oops, tested. It's kind of gone. The origin of the move below this, rather a demand or a buy zone below this area, is here. Okay, tested, removed. The area that did it is this one here. So this is more interesting. Take 2x the area, bring our stop up to around here, and then we should be good. So I'm just going to zoom in a little, and then you could actually go down to a smaller time frame. Where is that? It disappeared on me. Yeah, so we do have something just around here. The wicks kind of pointing at the sell zone, but this is an interesting area. We want to see a really nice price inefficiency up to the area, because these typically rebalance. Okay, and I think we're probably gonna move up towards these highs here and then rebalance price before we continue moving either higher or low. We're currently reacting at this really nice area of supply. It's been tested once, but we've traded in these areas before. This area is not the one, is the one where we have not traded. This is higher. It's above all of these tests. You see these slingshots being pulled back, pointing to the edge of micro zones, but they're above price, and so I just prefer this one here. You can see what this looks like on a bigger time frame. Maybe we can box it. I remove this here. This one, go. So we have, I mean, looking at this, you see this price has moved up here. We've left. We've moved. This is a sell zone here. We have wicks here, so we have to find the area, the price point where price left. So let's do that on the weekly. This one left, so the high of this candle will be the entry. This is where price came to, and the stop could be here, or if you want to be careful, it could be here. Okay, so here we have also some micro kind of children in here. So on the daily chart, we'll probably be able to see that with much more clarity. Yeah, I mean, look at this. That's it's pretty messy, isn't it? So I'd be keen on going to here, boom, and then moving this up like something like that. This is more interesting because price went up, we moved sideways, we went down, slingshot, tried to come back, Now it's released. So this is where we have an interesting price point, but we're very far away from price. So we'll have to wait and see. I shan't do anything here. I just put an alarm in here. And then do something when price gets back up there. Okay, we're on 35 minutes, so I'm going to stop again. I'll continue these again tomorrow, but if you have any questions, please leave us a comment or drop them off in the Discord channel. Thanks.